with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this motivational and inspirational podcast. And today's book of the Bible, Job. Job is the 17th book of the Bible in the Old Testament. The man, as we all know, was from Uz. The purpose of this book is to understand the eternal problems of unmerited sufferings. Unmerited meaning wasn't earned or deserved. And I know that at some point in time in our lives, this happens where we don't understand. We do everything that we know how to do straight, upright, and holy before God. We do not understand why the bills are out of control or why we're running out of money when we were doing so well in the beginning, and we are not doing anything any different than what we did in the beginning when we first started our journey with God. Why the kids all of a sudden don't want to listen to you. Just whatever situations we may run into. Why did this car accident happen today? Why did this person go off on me today and I didn't do anything? These are the questions that we often play in our mind. And in this case, Job was wondering, why am I suffering? I burn offerings for the blessing of my household, my land, my children. I do everything according to how you ask me. Why is this happening to me? It was unmerited. It was undeserving in his eyes. But sometimes even the most diligent person who tried the hardest to walk with Christ and to do as God asked them to do, we have a tinge, a little bit of something that God needs to purge out of us, that he needs to get renewed. Like I explained before, a speck. And God has eyes that can see everything. A tiny speck of anything that's unlike him, he wants removed. Your garment can look white to the naked eye, but to God's eye, if there's one speck of sin in us, God needs to get it out of us. And we sometimes have to pray and ask the Lord, okay, what am I doing wrong? Why am I feeling this way? Why is all of this happening to me? And God is letting us know, hey, I see something that I don't like in you, and we need to get this fixed. And when God does that, he does not do it because he hates us. He chastens the one he loves. And in this case, it was Job that he loved so much. But we had to see that there was something that God did not like. And this is why Satan was allowed to attack. The sufferings of Job were for us to see in today's time as cancer, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's disease, and other chronic diseases. We don't know where it came from or why it is attacking, but God will see you through. The suffering of the innocent is real. It does exist. That you don't have to do anything in order for this to attack. And in the case, Job was upright in God's eyes. His name means he that weeps or cry. And as we know, he did weep and he did cry. Job was a wealthy man, blameless and upright. But even in the eyes of those around him, God could always see something that wasn't quite right. Now, the sin of God is the sin that God saw in Job, The sin of Job that God saw and was recognized as self-righteousness. Sometimes we can get a little cocky. Everything's going well. You know, everything's right and straight. I can do this. I can do that. I can kind of pat myself on the back. No, you can't. This is God's doing. This is not our works. This is God's works and of his hand. And Job's book inspires us to learn that it doesn't matter how well our life can be on the outside. It's what's on the inside that counts. And apparently, God saw something that he needed removed. And the only way that it was going to be removed is that God allows Satan to take everything from it. And in doing so, it purged him. He suffered. I believe those wounds probably were oozing, were probably nasty looking. God had to purge him. He had to release him of that one thing, and he had to bring humility to him. And so in going through this book, although it was mainly explanatory, I still did not feel that I needed to omit this. Job is as much as important as any of the other books of the Bible. And although it can be straightforward, sometimes it can be misunderstood. God knows all of our hearts, and he knows all of our spirits. And although we may be walking upright and holy, there can be a tinge of a speck, a wrinkle or blemish somewhere in our spirit that God needs to renew and to remove and to get out of our being. And in the case of Job, this is what happened. That no matter how much he had, his friends was no good to him. You must have did something wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. But it was something on the inside that God needed to remove. Again, the book of the Bible, Job, although the story is really straightforward, there are times when we all don't understand why we are suffering and we're doing everything that God asks us to do. And this is why. God may see something that he needs to have removed. In the case of Job, it was self-righteousness. We don't know what could be on the inside of us. That's why it's good for us to self-examine ourselves and find out that we are truly upright and holy before God. This is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. You have yourself a wonderful and blessed day.